And like you mentioned, this is probably the first time that they have heard this level of vitriol. And so I don't like it. The players of the WNBA need to start calling it out when they hear it, pointing that fan out and letting them be escorted out of the game. That's what I think.
That takes I think they need to lock in.
It happens. Nobody says anything when LeBron does it, and they get thrown out of there. We are just days into the start of the 2025 WNBA season, and the league has already announced an investigation. So the WNBA said Sunday that it is investigating hateful fan comments directed at Angel Reese. This all stems from Saturday's matchup between the Fever and the Sky, in which Reese was fouled by Caitlin Clark, sparking a few words from Reese to Clark. Now, during her free throws, Reese was booed so loud at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and apparently other things were said as well. In a statement, the league said, quote, "The WNBA strongly condemns racism, hate, and discrimination in all forms. They have no place in our league or in society. We are aware of the allegations and are looking into the matter," end quote. Rodney, what are your thoughts on the allegations of hate speech towards Angel Reese?
Well, I am absolutely shocked that people in Indiana could spit such vitriol at a black woman. I mean, I can't believe it. I'm unfazed by this. I'm unbothered by it. I think this is a very performative statement that has been issued by the league, because at the end of the day, the WNBA is benefiting greatly from the hate and the hatred of certain types of people who have now taken up interest in the league and this sport. So, while maybe they would like in theory to not have people say negative and hateful things towards certain players, at the end of the day, that would affect the bottom line. You need these kind of people, unfortunately, because we live in a moment in time in society where there is very minimal room for nuance, right? There's this, you have to be extreme on one end or the other. They are going to lose people's interest if they start trying to police how we fandom. And that's just the reality of it. It starts from the top of our, political structure here in America, and it's trickling down into everyday people. Saying what you want to say when you want to say it, especially when it's directed towards a certain type of person, is just more loud now than ever. And that's what it is.
Yeah, I know that you don't feel like words have any meaning, right?
Words have meaning. I say words have meaning.
Regarding statements from leagues, right?
Yeah.
In particular, this statement, we've talked about it last season when the WNBA released a statement saying that they don't condone bigotry and hatred and all of this kind of stuff. But I do feel like they're doing a good job early at setting the tone. And I will say this, in the NBA, when a player hears a fan say something derogatory or hateful or whatever, they call it out right then. And what happens to that fan? They are thrown out of the game, Rodney. In some cases, they lose their season tickets. They're not allowed to come back to the game. And I feel like the WNBA needs to do that. If Angel herself or any of her teammates heard any of these hateful things that were being said allegedly, they should have called it out right then.
I would love to know what the hateful things are. I worked in the NBA arena for 5 years. The things that people say that they don't get thrown out for, would you be surprised?
After the player calls it out.
What I'm saying is, I think that there is an understanding by NBA players that some fans are going to say wild. It's a thing. Like so their tolerance level is a little bit higher. I think this level of aggression and vitriol from fans is a new phenomenon for a lot of these women athletes. This has not been a part of their sport and the culture of their sport. So it's a new thing. So their skin might be a little more thin. I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm hypothesizing. Their skin might be a little more thin because when they came up playing high school basketball, there probably weren't fans in the arena, right? And unless you went to a major university like a UConn or a Tennessee, there probably wasn't a lot of fans in the arena at your college game, or the passion wasn't running that high. So this is their first time dealing with a level of vitriol. JJ Redick from Duke, the things that people would say to him in arenas across the country every time he went out to play were crazy. But he learned, like, all right, this is just what comes with being top shotter. And he dealt with it.
But that doesn't make it right. And that doesn't mean that the WNBA has to deal with it. Again, I feel like if you start calling it out when it happens, because we have seen that a lot of times in the NBA, where players will literally point out a fan and say, no, he was saying some disrespectful stuff, he got to go. And 9 times out of 10, that fan is up out of there.
So what would be out of bounds for you? What's something that would be out of bounds?
I'm sure being called a B word, if you're called the N word.
So the B word, the B word is out of bounds
In the WNBA, I would think so, yes.
in any league. Are we
Yes,
differentiating what the
in
B
any
word
league.
means towards a woman?
In any league.
I can assure you that word gets used a lot more in
Okay, but
arenas than
that's,
you could
I know
imagine.
that, but you're moving the goalposts, Rodney. That
How?
doesn't make it right. How many times have we seen NBA players, NFL players are going after fans because they're saying disrespectful things? And we're not there. Nobody bats an eye at it. The WNBA is not going, they're not going after the fans, but they're going to the league and say, look, this is what's happening. I feel like they need to start going after the fans
And then what?
and then get them thrown out.
So how about we put a soundproof barrier around the court for these games? Nobody has ever cared enough to use profanity at WNBA games. It has not been a thing. And so now that you have people that are passionate about the sport, unfortunately, this is kind of what comes with it. When people are passionate about things, they say stupid stuff, especially in these times, especially in this country. Have you ever gone to an international soccer match? I have. Do you know what's like, God forbid, listen, this is what comes with sports. This is what comes with popular sports. I think that WNBA actually needs to embrace it. Of course, there are certain things that are out of bounds, and it can't be everything is a go. But I need to know what's on the banned list of words or phrases that should not be spewed, that should result in an ejection. Because I think it bodes incredibly well. I'm sorry, I do.
I don't agree with that, Rodney.
And I do,
too.
because at the end of the day, look at what we're talking about. The WNBA just had a phenomenal opening weekend. We got to see Caitlin Clark going up against Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark put up a triple double, right, in the
Right.
first game of the season, and we're not even talking about that. We're not even talking about the play that
Exactly, you're right.
resulted in the Indiana fan base being so aggressive towards Angel Reese, in which Caitlin Clark picked up a flagrant foul by, because she shoved Angel Reese, and Angel Reese was acting all sensitive about it, even though last year she did the same exact play to Caitlin Clark, and she shoved the hell out of Caitlin's teammate to get that offensive rebound, and Caitlin did what an elite leader does do on a basketball court, and that's take up for her teammate. And we're not even talking about that. We're talking about words from people who we can't even identify. That's crazy. That's bad. That's actually bad marketing.
No, I don't think so.
So what you want? Silent fan bases? You want cheers and boos. You want cheers and boos.
I don't want a silent fan base, but I do want, if you say something crazy and you know it's crazy, be prepared to have consequences for your actions. That's all that I'm saying. Just like in any other league.
Crazy is extremely subjective, right? You said the B word is out of bounds. Samaria, with all love and respect, I hear women all the time. Yeah, that's my go.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. So I'm just saying.
Okay, so you don't think that there's a difference between calling, and I'm not saying that I say this because I don't. That's not in my vocabulary, but I'm saying there are women who call each other that, but that's different from possibly a white man calling a black woman that. Let's be clear.
Sure. Just like the N word, I get it, but that's why it's hard. But that's why it's hard when you're on the floor at an NBA game. Players use the N word, right? They say that. Of course, we don't want white fans saying the N word at NBA games, but if a black fan uses the N word towards a player on the court, do we look at that the same way? Do we look at it differently? Do we allow that? Do we disallow that? It gets murky. And I'm certainly not defending anybody that's not black ability to say the N word, but I don't know where we draw the line. And so I think for the first time ever, you have people who are reactionary towards WNBA basketball. And unfortunately, they're not coming with words of affirmation and positivity, but they're coming with money and eyeballs.
I know. And I want you want us to give these fans grace because you said that there's this new level of fandom or whatever. But I want to give Angel Reese some grace and the other women in this league, because again, like you mentioned, this is probably the first time that they have heard this level of vitriol. And so I don't like it. And I want something to be done about it. And I think that the league is taking a great step in this statement, but I do feel like the players of the WNBA need to start calling it out when they hear it, pointing that fan out and letting them be escorted out of the game. That's what I think.
That takes I think they need to lock in.
It happens. Nobody says anything when LeBron does it and they get thrown out of there.
But you've heard about fans in Utah, Boston, and Indiana specifically,
I
right?
know. Yes.
That say terrible things towards
And
white
it's
fans saying
okay.
terrible things towards black players. I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm also saying that there are certain arenas in certain cities that they know what comes with the territory. So NBA players have adapted to that. They know what's going to happen in certain cities, and so they just take their feelings away from it. And unless somebody goes way, way, way above and beyond and out of bounds, they just are like, all right, whatever. Like this is ignorance. But they can't. If I'm worried about winning a game, I can't be out here trying to figure out who to tell on. Like
Pivoting a little bit,
what up?
Indiana is real dangerous. They
Listen,
really
they're
dangerous
my
this year.
favorites. They're my favorites to win the chip this year. Dewana Bonner didn't even have a great game. I think she
Yes.
took like 2 shots, and they were able to win this game handily. So that's what I want to talk about when it comes to the
Yeah.
WNBA. I do not want, we can have these conversations about things that are going on off the court, but I just think the best product that the WNBA can market is its players and their
Yes.
greatness, as opposed to the silly things that we have to discuss around race and culture, and sexuality. Even though I do like the
Oh,
lesbian
wait.
couples. I do. It's really nice. Sips coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. Y'all let us know your thoughts on whether or not the WNBA should be over-policing fans in arenas, or is this just a byproduct of now having people who are actually passionate about the league? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section.